Let's Talk Petals. This is our take and make for the 14th, so July 14th. This should be what your flowers look like. We are going to, I do not have my leather leaf back in this, so yours will actually have leather leaf in it. But if you have our vase, you can go ahead and grab that. If you have your own vase at home, go ahead and grab that. But you'll need your vase, some snips. That was kind of funny how it came in here, but some snips, and then obviously the flowers. So we are going to start with our greenery. We have leather leaf in here, and I also water in your vase. Make sure your flowers have water. You are going to cut everything at an angle. So cut it at an angle. I guess it's kind of like, my hands look dirty. Cut it at an angle so that the water or the stems can drink. So I kind of clean with my hands. We will change the water at the end, so your water's going to get dirty and it's okay, but I do try to wipe it with my hands. But cut it at an angle again. And then I do pull off any of the leaves towards the bottom. It's obviously better to cut twice and cut it shorter if it's too long than it is to, I mean, you can't glue it back on there. So you are going to take your, like where the last little leaf comes off, and you're going to put your stem through that to connect them. It kind of helps create a grid. And mine, I want to take a little bit off there. So yeah, the idea behind your greenery is to create a grid for the flowers so that then when you're putting the flowers in, they kind of stick in there. So at an angle, I'm going to take more off that. And then I always go back to the last stem that I put in there and go in the last stem that I put in, and then the last little hole or little gap. So you'll continue to do that, and I kind of rotate the vase a little bit as needed. And then you will do this until you kind of get a nice shape and they kind of get a little more firm in there. So I'm going to do that. Just splashed on me. And then I do, once, like, I'm not going to go off the last one. I'm going to kind of go back here because there's a little bit of a gap. I'm going to go back and add that. But this is how I get the shape of the arrangement. It helps. And then also, like I said, helps with that grid and keeping the flowers in place. So okay, so your vase should be green. Voila. Sometimes at the end, like if I have one that seems kind of far out, like I just kind of pinch it off and shorten it a little bit. Then unpackage my flowers. So we have daisies and carnations and alstroemeria. So I always start with the alstroemeria and kind of get my shape. So I'm going to clean the stem, get all the leaves off. Reason we do that is you want to keep the leaves and things out of your water to keep it from getting bacteria. Then cut at an angle. Again, always cut at an angle so that the stems can drink. Then I'm going to put that first stem in. Okay, cut at an angle, make sure it's clean. Also, if there's any leaves up here that are brown or don't look nice, then you can do that. Then I'm going to kind of put them in a triangle. So one along, or three along the bottom at an angle, clean the stem. So kind of triangle. And then this one I'm going to put in the center. So cut at an angle, clean the stem, place it in. So it's going to be a little taller, again, kind of to get the shape. Then daisies. I take off some of these lower ones. And obviously any leaves that don't look great, or if any of the petals up here are brown or something, you can take that one off. But and then I do keep these because at the end you can add them. Then, just like everything else, cut at an angle, and then I place that kind of between the Alstroemeria. Again, next one. These ones are a little short and not all the way open, so I'm not necessarily going to keep those in this, but if you want to, great. Cut at an angle, rotate the vase, stick that in there. Then, next one, I'm going to take these off down the stem, take off some of these leaves that don't look the best, and then cut at an angle, and stick that in there. So now you have a nice shaped arrangement. And then I'm going to go in with the carnations, and with carnations, either cut above or below these little knuckles or knots. That's just so that it helps it drink. It's going to be better. So below it, at an angle. Also carnations you can poop out. And then I just kind of, again, triangle those and kind of put them in little gaps that I think need filled. So I put one there. And then same, I guess I've already cleaned that stem, but clean the stem at an angle, and that was above. Fluff it out. They're pretty hardy little flowers, so you can fluff them and they're going to do just fine. And where I've been putting them where I see like the little gap where the daisies come out. That's where I've been popping them in and kind of covering that little space. But you put them where you want because this is your arrangement. So there we have it. So you have your vase with all of your flowers all arranged in there. A couple little care tips. Every couple days, well, after you get done with your arrangement, be sure to dump this water, refill it. Rinse your vase out, refill it. Then, and I make sure that this was kind of tucked in there. Pull that off. So make sure your stems are clean. Then every couple days, rinse your water out, dump it out. I use just tap water. Then also another big thing would just be to trim at an angle, trim all of your stems just a little bit, just to keep it a fresh cut so that the flowers can drink. So every couple days do that, change your water, and these should last you and should sit on your table and be beautiful for you to enjoy. Oh, and my Alstroemeria, when I put it back in there, kind of got a little crazy, but yes. So thank you for joining, and until next time.